Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Dhena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. It feels good just to come together and chant Hare Krishna, doesn't it? As nothing else works very well, but chanting Hare Krishna works perfectly. That's the kind of system process that everyone's looking for, something that actually works permanently and always, in all circumstances. And it's hard enough to express ourselves in this world because the senses are so blunt. Language is a little blunt. People sometimes refine their language skills and they can speak with precision, and then they become poets and articulate speakers or writers, and then it can pique the interests of people, human beings especially. But generally, we're misunderstood for the most part in this world because still it's very difficult to get our point across sometimes to others, and people have their own agendas, and things work against us oftentimes. In this world, I have a plan, but somehow or other it goes, as they say, sideways. And what to do about that? Well, the Shastras say, don't try to fix it, because it's not exactly fixable. But what you can do is chant Hare Krishna, because that's an expression of gratitude. It's an expression of dependency on the Supreme, who is organizing everything. And Krishna gives this great relief to everyone who's burning in this material world, that if you just surrender to me, I will deliver you. Don't worry. And also he says in the Bhagavad Gita that if you just transfer your energy to work that's meant to help me, and his main work in the material world, the reason, the purpose behind the material world, which is a good thing to know, is his Shrishti Lila. It's his way of giving everyone an opportunity to come back to Godhead. Knowing that makes things a little bit more clear and tolerable here in this world, and also gives one some direction of how to move with full energy. That Krishna, as it says in the, as Brahma says in his prayers, that Yakaranarna bhajale bhajati smi yoga nidram ananta jagaranda saromakupa adhara shaktim avalamya param smamurtim govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami yasyaika nishvasita kalamata avalamya jivanti loma vilaja jagadandanata Vishnur Mahansa iha yasya kala vishesho govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami. Mahavishnu, who's the source of all material emanations, is breathing, and as he breathes, all the universes come into existence. And then people play baseball and soccer, football. They have their tournaments that matter so much. Who's going to win? They bet on them. They become absorbed in so many things, but actually the millennia fly by and the living entities stay in the material world, but the real purpose is out of mercy that Mahavishnu is breathing out, giving an opportunity for everyone. And he comes in so many avatars, hundreds of thousands of ways Krishna appears in this world to give an opportunity to everyone to come back to him. Not the least of which, and especially in Kali Yuga, he descends, his avatar is in the form of his name, which becomes predominant because nothing else works practically, as I said. So if one can align oneself with Krishna's purpose, which is to deliver the living entities and try to deliver oneself, that's a good occupation. That's a good use of one's energy. Save up all your energy, stay healthy, says the Bhagavatam. Kama sinendriya pritir labo jiveta yavata jivasya tattva jignasya narto yashcheha karmabi. That you should live a healthy life, but the reason you should preserve yourself is so you have a strong platform and sound body, mind, through which you can inquire about the absolute truth, and through which you can express your devotion. And the best way to do that is by chanting Krishna's names. So that's why it feels so good, because it's in perfect alignment with the purpose of the universe, with Krishna's purpose in the universe. And in the age of Kali Yuga, we're doing this on purpose, actually, to prove a point. We've staged this whole thing. That Prayanal Palisha Sabya Kalavazminugejana. Prayanal Payasa Sabya Kalavazminugejana Manda Sumanda Matayo Manda Bhagya Hupadrita. In the age of Kali that we live in, men have but short lives. They're quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. So we can expect those things to come. Disturbances will come to our lives. Great turbulence, even disaster comes. And as one of my godbrothers says, death can ruin your whole day. And it will someday ruin all your plans and make you look at things in a different way. So when we get opportunities throughout this life to actually self-examine, when we're pushed to self-examination, or to distraction, either one, we have an opportunity to look deep within. Thank you. So I was just trying to express how wonderful it is to have a place where we can come, and our only reason for being there is to chant Hare Krishna and think of Krishna. And that's what temples are for, that's what churches are for, that's what mosques are for. They're meant to give us a respite from all the other distractions so we can come and remember the Supreme and think of the Supreme. Then we feel satisfied, then we feel happy. So there are very specific methods given in the scriptures to perfect one's life. And a couple of concepts that struck me today, which I was thinking about during lunch and all the way down here and consulting about, were a couple of words that I thought of. One is formula. There are various formulas that, the word formula. Let's see if I wrote it down, because it's kind of interesting. Yeah, formula is a plan or method for doing, making, or achieving something. A formula is a plan, please repeat, or method for doing, making, or achieving something. A list of ingredients used for making something. So, fortunately, the scriptures, the great sadhus, the great saints, follow the scriptures, and they also help codify and give us formulas that we can follow in our own life. Therefore, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, when the demigods are praying to Lord Krishna within the womb of Devaki, they say that the real method of advancing in spiritual life is to find out the spiritual scientists who know the formula and follow them. Find out what their formula is and just follow it. Or like my great old friend Willie Jolly, who's still around, he's a public speaker, goes here, there, and everywhere, says, or used to say, I don't know if he still says it because I haven't heard his stuff for a while, but he used to say that just as there's a recipe for making great cakes and pies, his Aunt May used to tell him. There's a recipe for she used to make great cakes and pies, and just as there's a recipe for making great cakes and pies, there's a recipe or a formula for success in spiritual life. And that's given very clearly out of mercy by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, and also in our line, very specifically by Rupa Goswami in this book called The Nectar of Instruction. He calls this the Upadeshamrita. And this is the essence of advice for how to advance in spiritual life, distilled down into a little book that Hanumat Prasheka Swami could carry in a pouch around his neck for about 10 years. He had a little pouch. Of course, he read it in Spanish because he also wanted to challenge his language skills. But he would keep it, and he could pull it out, and he lived with this book. I don't know if he still carries it around his neck, but you could live with this book. And if you just follow the recipe in this book, follow the formula given by Rupa Goswami, then you'll find for yourself great improvements in your life, and you'll experience spiritual contact with the soul and with the super soul and with Krishna by following the process in this book. So formulas are important, and if you can find the formulas that work well and stick to them, you'll get success. So that's one concept I was thinking about, formula and the spiritual formula. And you don't need lots of them. If you just get a simple formula and you continuously follow it every day, you'll be successful in the spiritual life. The holy name is described in the Namashtakam by Rupa Goswami, Nama Deha Munivrindagehe Janaranjanaya Paramakshara Krite. He says that this Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is the supreme formula. Now there's a nice formula. It's got everything in it that you need. Once my friend Jai Sachinandan Prabhu was saying that he was visiting one sadhu in Vrindavan, and he was fasting all the time and chanting, and someone asked him why you don't eat. He said, all vitamins are there within the holy name. For those who can realize that, but it's a fact. It's a formula that has everything, all the nourishment we need. I was looking in the dictionary under formula. One of the definitions is that it's milk mixed with some other things that babies take. Anybody familiar with that? Formula? Did little Schnicky get his formula? Schnicky has to have formula, otherwise he gets cranky. So formula, it's a mixture. You have nutritious ingredients of formula. And it's also, it's a combination of elements that are perfectly matched, so that by following authorized formula, one will achieve success in whatever one endeavors for. And especially in spiritual life, we look for these spiritual formulas, and we're advised not to invent our own formulas. This is one of the rules given in the line of disciplic succession, part of being a disciple. Don't invent new formulas. You don't need to. Just take the formulas that are given and practice them, perfect them yourself. Shruti Shmiti Paranadi Panchachiki Vidim Vina Aikantiki Harer Bhaktir Patayaiva Kalpate. Rupa Goswami says in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that if you practice devotional service but you make up your own formulas, then you'll disturb everyone else around you. So don't do that. Just follow the simple formula. Why is it so hard to follow a formula? Why is it so hard to follow the prescribed method? Prabhupada brought this up all the time because he'd see that he was giving a simple process and then everyone wanted to do something a little bit different. And he also mentioned that if you bring out a formula, a simple formula that works, that just chant Hare Krishna, and you concentrate on this, he said that people won't come. But if you give some fancy thing, you hold your nose, and then you sit like this, and then all these special things. Then everyone's like, oh, I'll go for that, plus I'll pay $10,000. But if you say, just chant Hare Krishna, I was like, no, I'm not interested in that. I want something different. And then people concoct their own formulas, all kinds of different things. So our line especially is to find out the formula that's worked, just as Willie Jolly, he followed his Aunt May to make great cakes and pies, and she followed her predecessors and so forth. We follow our predecessors. We take the formula as it's passed down, and then if you take it, then it'll work. The formula will work in your life, and you'll see for yourself, and then you can develop faith in the formula. One of the ways in which the Vedic process gets people to come closer and closer to Krishna Bhakti is by prescribing all kinds of diverse formulas throughout the Vedas. There are formulas for elevating oneself to higher planetary systems and getting great rewards in the material world, the Karmakanda section of the Vedas. And people often follow those formulas because they really want to make it work here in the material world. And they try and they follow that formula, and they get some good results. So they start to develop faith in the idea of a superior authority and Shastra. And then gradually, by association, they can come closer to having faith in the insider formulas, like the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam. And then one can come from a position, from any position, by following the process given by the Srimad Bhagavatam, Kirata Hunandra Pulinda Pulkasha Abhira Sumba Yavana Kasadaya Yene Chapapa Yadapasha Yashaya Shudyanti Tasmai Pravavishnave Namaha. By following the prescribed formula, it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from. The Bhagavatam says, Shukadeva Goswami says, whatever situation you're in now, inconsequential, because the process is so powerful. It can overcome all of one's shortcomings and bring one to the highest position of life if you follow the right formula that's there in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So much power is there in the process. And also, Bhagavatam, Bejire Murayota Gre Bhagavantam Adhoksajam Sattvam Vishudam Shemaya Kalpante Yenutaniha. If you follow the previous teachers who are following the formula, see, the very wise people, says the Bhagavatam, follow the formula exactly. And therefore they get the highest benefit, because they know how to connect to Lord Vishnu. And if you can connect to Lord Vishnu, you get the highest benefit in life. Now, they're great souls. But the Bhagavatam says that anyone who tries to emulate those great souls and also tries to follow the formula, whatever situation they're in, doesn't matter great souls or not, they could be in the worst possible condition of life. But if they try to emulate those great souls and follow in their footsteps, kalpante yenutaniha, they're also qualified. They're also eligible. That's a good word, eligible. Are you eligible for getting into a certain institution? Like, what's the eligibility for getting into, say, Cal State, Caltech? Manmo, what is it? The highest GPA, right? I mean, they won't even look at you unless you got all A's, right? Mason had all A's through his whole... He never got anything, whatever... grandkids, was it Mason? He never got anything less than an A throughout grammar school. For kindergarten, got an A in finger painting. Got an A in first grade. For a book report, huh? Started grading in fourth grade. They got A's everywhere, but then were they eligible to get? Then only Caltech would consider, are you eligible to get in if you had A's all the way through? Never anything less than an A to get into Caltech. And so what's the eligibility for going back to Godhead? What's the eligibility for entering into the most esoteric spiritual process in the universe? Kalpante yenutani. You try to follow the formula given by the previous great sages. You emulate what they've done, even if imperfectly. And Krishna says, if you're trying to follow the formula, you're a great soul too. Api chet sudaracharo bhajate mam ananya bhak sadhureva samantavya samyag vyavasito hisaha. He says, even if you mess up on this path, you show some really bad character, just comes out of you all of a sudden. So you didn't even know where it came from. Hey, I didn't know that was in there. But you continue on the path of devotional service because you're trying to follow the formula. Krishna says, that person, he's talking about the devotees, that person, that sincere person, even though Sudarachara, he shows some worldliness for some reason, who knows why, he's a great soul because he's trying to follow the process. And he also, Bhagavatam, Karabhajana Muni also says, Sapadamulam bhajata priyasya taktanya bhavasya hare priyasaha. Vikarmayachchot patitam katanchid dhunoti sarvam hridisani vishtaha. If someone's dedicated to following the formula, they're following the process, emulating the great souls, then somehow or other, if they fall from the path, then if they simply keep going, they simply pick up and keep following the process, follow the formula, said, then I'll rectify the situation. Because you're trying to do the right thing. And the right thing is to follow the authorized formula. So formulas are very important in spiritual life, and especially in our line. And we can find those formulas in this book. This book is full of formulas. And each one is sufficient in and of itself to keep us perfectly on track for advancing in spiritual life, going back to Godhead. That's remarkable, isn't it? And it's in the form of a little book. You could carry it around with you. Who could stop you? You can even get this through customs and immigration in different countries. This could educate a whole country. People could start following the formula from one little book like this. What a powerful process, all right in here. So, the other thing, a concept I was thinking about, I'll tell you in a second, but first we'll take some reflections. Any one thing that you've heard so far that's stuck in your mind that you want to reflect back? Sundarananda Prabhu. And here come the microphones. We have microphones color-coded. One's for the front area, front third, one's for the middle. Yellow's for the front. Blue is in the hand of Ramananda Saka is for the back row, and that one, red one's for the middle. Let's see if it works. It never does. Okay, go ahead.
So one of the points that stuck out was call out to Krishna when you're going through a problem. Don't try to fix it. That you mentioned at the beginning of the class.
Yeah, put it in Krishna's hands. When you have a severe setback in your life, take it as an opportunity to give up. That doesn't sound like sound advice, does it? But it is. Give up and let Krishna take it, because we're actually helpless. We're swimming in a huge ocean, and we need Krishna's help. Molly, then Bali.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, when you were talking about formulae, and we were just listening to the seminar about the congregation development, and then we realized how Bhaktivinoda Thakur has devised this formula everywhere. He had, he already thought about like chakra, upachakra, chakra. You know, he had a vision where 108 groups are going on simultaneously. He devised a formula already, and it's just that we have to follow. And the devotees who came, they actually took the same formula, but they just made it relevant for people in general. I was also thinking the same as with our book distribution too. Like you came up with so many formulas. It's all based on sadhana and everything. But same formula, the same 4 laws of book distribution have been going on for ages and ages. The same formula we are trying to follow. And how even though we try, even though we are imperfect, but when you still try, you're eligible to get the same results. That's it's very touching actually.
Thank you very much. Beautiful. Bali Mardan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So, as you mentioned about the lowest class of men like Javana, Khasada, all those varieties of Papa Yonis, they can be also liberated, they can get the mercy. But now the thing which I am thinking of, imagine the Mid East problem, or where the core problem is going on, how we can really make the formula available to them, to their tongue, to their ear, so that there is a chances of little bit refinement and the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Because Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, please consider me, I am the lowest, that's what I will get the mercy. So we should also think they are the lowest now. And the formula, as you mentioned, the formula, how the formula of the Harinam can go to such places, we should meditate.
It's good. Or we can think, I'm the lowest. And let me take the formula. Yeah, we save one person at a time. I save one person at a time, beginning with myself. Start at home. Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami said to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you came to save the most fallen, so we are first in line because we are the most fallen. There's no one more fallen than us. So please give us the formula. We need it first because we're the most fallen. But your point is well taken that the world is in a disarray because of lack of direction and leadership, and it's great mercy to distribute knowledge so that people can come in contact with it, and also to have a way to facilitate people's advancement in devotional service when they start to take to the formula. Two things. One thing is it has to be distributed, the formula has to be given out, and the second thing is that there has to be infrastructure and systems to help us and to help as many other people who want to come in and take the process given by Rupa Goswami in this little book to heart so that they can organize their lives. That's great mercy, to dedicate one's life to that kind of work. Priya Kishori, just holding the microphone for the middle row. Okay, there's lots of them around you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, keep going.
One thing I feel that for any formula to work, you need to feed something to the formula and to see the results. For our formula to work, what I feel the most important ingredient is the faith and the action and trust in the formula to see the advancement.
Faith and?
Faith and trust in the formula.
Faith and trust in the formula. So trust the formula.
Yes.
Which means you show your trust in the formula by taking it.
Yes.
Right? If the doctor gives you some medicine, said this is good medicine, and they say, I don't know. But if you just trust, this person is giving me the right formula, you can take it. So trust the formula. Yes. Thank you. Shiva Kumar?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah.
I liked your analogy of how you compared the eligibility to get into Caltech. And the
compared what?
The analogy of comparing the eligibility to go into Caltech.
Individual?
Eligibility.
Eligibility.
To go into the Caltech.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Caltech,
how this formula makes you eligible to go back to the Godhead.
Yeah, because it seems like it'd be hard to get into Caltech, because I'd have to go back and get all A's. I didn't even know if I could do that. But to get into this process, you just have to try to follow the formula sincerely, yeah.
It's simple, but yet very powerful as well.
Oh, thank you. Good, good, good. Simple is best. Occam's razor. Okay, yes?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I really like that our scriptures are full of hope and encouragement everywhere, and especially this formula in one verse that you just mentioned that Krishna spoke is apichet suduracharo bachte mamanane bhag sadure visamantavya sammagivavasito saha. So in that, like, you don't have to be perfect. Like, it doesn't say anywhere in our scriptures that you have to be perfect. You just you believe in the formula and you just follow it, take your baby steps, and there's hope and encouragement that success will be guaranteed. So at your own pace, you just keep doing it, and the formula will be successful.
Gita. Let's check in with Srila Prabhupada on that point, but quick, we'll have the Gita to you in 15 seconds or left, or your money back from the orders. Thank you very much. I just read you a purport that goes along with what you're saying. You said encouraging, and it's important to have encouragement regularly from Krishna, from the spiritual master. Here we'll hear from 331 in Bhagavad Gita. Ye me matam idam nityam anutishtanti manavaha shadavanto nasuyanto muchante te pikarmabihi. Those persons who execute their duties according to my injunctions and who follow this teaching faithfully without envy become free from the bondage of fruit of actions. Talking about formula, he's giving injunctions. You can also say formula. He's given a simple system. He's saying follow this. And you'll, if you do it faithfully, as you pointed out, faithfully, without envy, you'll become free from bondage of fruit of actions. Here's the purport. The injunction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is the essence of all Vedic wisdom and therefore is eternally true without exception. That's a pretty powerful statement. And that's something that we can take shelter of, that Krishna's injunctions are true without exception. As the Vedas are eternal, so this truth of Krishna consciousness is also eternal. One should have firm faith in this injunction without envying the Lord. There are many philosophers who write comments on the Bhagavad Gita but have no faith in Krishna. They will never be liberated from the bondage of fruit of action. But an ordinary man with firm faith in the eternal injunctions of the Lord, even though unable to execute such orders, becomes liberated from the bondage of the law of karma. In the beginning of Krishna consciousness, one may not fully discharge the injunctions of the Lord, but because one is not resentful of this principle and works sincerely without consideration of defeat and hopelessness, he will surely be promoted to the stage of pure Krishna consciousness. Who had over here? Yes, Radha Krishna. 11:55. Turn that mic on for him, please. We have a request for 11:55. Mat karma krin mat paramo mat bhakta sangavarjitaha naivaira sarvabhuteshu yasamam eti pandava. My dear Arjuna, he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of fruitive activities and mental speculation, he who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me.
The very first line of purport talks about a formula.
Anyone who wants to approach the supreme of all the personalities of Godhead on the Krishna Loka planet, in the spiritual sky, and be intimately connected with the Supreme Personality, Krishna, must take this formula as stated by the Supreme himself. This is not a plant, you know. Yeah, formulas are, they're also tidy. You can take them with you. You can replicate them elsewhere. There's a meaning of formula. It can work for you and it can work for other people. It's something that can be replicated. Formulas. So now I'll tell you about another word I was thinking about, and that is solution. Because when I was chanting my japa, I was realizing, I was thinking about a verse I had read from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's an esoteric verse, but I have no business with esoteric verses because I can barely understand or enter into them, but I can relate to them in a different way and according to my existential condition of life. So in the verse, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is stated by Kaviraj Goswami, the author, that the gopis, when they hear about Krishna, the topics stick in their minds like the sap of a mango tree. And I looked up mango sap, and it's difficult to get out of things. Once you get the sap of any tree into your hair or a carpet or your clothes, it's not so easy to get out. Tree sap, mango sap, sticks in there. For those who are very advanced in Krishna consciousness, says the Bhagavatam, the topics of Krishna stick in their mind. For those who are on the path or not so advanced, the topics of sense gratification stick to the mind. Somehow it comes from every direction. It's in the environment. Prahlad Maharaj says in his prayers to Lord Nrsingadev, how am I ever supposed to make spiritual advancement? He said from every direction there's scenes of sense gratification, there's sounds of sense gratification. My senses each want their own kind of enjoyment in this world. And how in that condition can I actually come to Krishna consciousness? So as I was considering how the scenes, the feelings, the imagery from this material world sticks to the mind, that of sense gratification, just like the sap of a mango, then I was thinking there has to be a solution. Now, I found out a little bit more about solution because I happen to be writing down here with a PhD in, I don't know, what was your PhD in, Somadatri? Huh? Immunology, but she knows a lot about chemistry also. So I turned around and said, what do you know about solutions? So just studied solutions, just happened to have the formula on the top of her mind. But she said, a solvent, which is related to the word solution, which I'll get back to in a minute. You have a solute, correct? Solute plus a solvent equals solution. Solute is what you're trying to dissolve, and the solvent is the particular thing that dissolves it, and it turns it into a solution. And a solution is a particular substance that's able to dissolve other substances. It's a substance that can dissolve other substances. So the process, the formula, this chanting of the Maha Mantra, it's a transcendental solvent. And even though sense gratification sticks to the mind and all the other senses, just like mango sap, it's really hard to get out. Correct? Or is it just me? But if you add the right solution, you put the solvent in. If you put the solvent in, I should say this correctly, add the solvent and the solute will be dissolved and separated away. And we have this formula that it purifies the senses. Sarvopani, Sarvapadi Vinir Muktan Tapratvena Nirmalam Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhaktir Uchite. There's a way in which, by practicing the devotional service, naturally the senses become purified, the verse says. And one becomes free from designations, which are based on this contamination, thinking that I'm the body. So you add the solvent, and it will naturally, just as when there's a formula online you could look up. I've looked up a few formulas, how to get tree sap out of your carpet. You have to mix up the solvent. And then you can add it, and you follow that formula, and the sap will come out. Otherwise, you're stuck with it. And there's a lot of different kinds of ways in which people try to purify themselves. And this is one of the subjects of the 6th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And people try to clean up the senses and the mind, but they do it in inefficient ways. The formula isn't quite right. They don't have the right solvent. Kvachin nivartate bhadrat, kvachin vartate punaha. Prayaschitam atopartam manye kunjarak shauchavat. In the Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj, when Shukadeva Goswami was trying to teach him about the universal solvent. What's the universal solvent in the material world? We got some chemists in the front row here. Okay, it's water. Water is a universal solvent. And the universal principle for purifying the senses is the transcendental formula, the transcendental sound vibration, and the transcendental process. But Shukadeva Goswami was teaching Maharaj Parikshit. And Maharaj Parikshit, after hearing about how entangled you can become in this material world, so entangled that you end up suffering in hellish conditions, and you do it to yourself. This is one of the lessons of the Bhagavatam. How did you end up in that situation? I did it to myself. Even the Avanti Brahmana, when asked about why he was suffering so much, he said, hey, look it, if you bite your own tongue, who are you going to blame? So similarly, I put myself in all these difficult situations. But Parikshit Maharaj wanted to know, what's the solution? How to become free from this? And now is an opportunity for full concentration, because we're going to get a stereo disturbance from each side for a minute. First, Parikshit Maharaj told him about self-help. He said, you go to the bookstore, you can get a self-help book. And it tells you how to rearrange your life and make up for the various transgressions that you make in this material world. Through prayaschitta, there's a way in which you can try to make up for each mistake that you make in this world. And Parikshit Maharaj said, I don't think it'll work. He said, I think it's just like an elephant who takes a bath and then he comes out and he puts dirt all over his body again. And he said, the tendency to do it continues in the heart, and therefore doesn't matter how long you stay clean, eventually you fall off again and you come back to the process of sense gratification. The sap's not gone. So he wanted to know the real process to come out of it, and that's just when Shukadeva Goswami told him the story about Ajamil, and he advocated that there's a spiritual formula, especially the incarnation of the Lord's names in this world, that if you take to that and take that solvent in the right way, then it will completely purify the senses. It's a solvent. It will dissolve the impurities that have attached themselves to the mind and the senses. And one can perceive one's real spiritual identity and also gain spiritual impetus and real taste by taking this real solvent. And now we'll take a few reflections more. Yes, it's Harivamsha in the very back, right by the bookshelf.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you, Prabhu. I really like the analogy of sap of the mango tree. I was just recollecting how Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says that you may be roaming around in the world, but you may not get attached to everything. But there are only few things where the chitta gets hooked to. So you develop an asakti towards that particular object. So I was also just meditating, as you said, that every chitta has a particular sap to which it's get hooked to, and then you need a particular solvent to take it out. However, fortunately, we have the chanting of the Hare Krishna and Srila Prabhupada books, which act as a universal kind of solvent. So that was nice. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a sticky place. Even if you're minding your own business and you're practicing Krishna consciousness, you might find, hey, how'd this get on me? Or this is still here. And you have to be careful because it's a very sticky place. Therefore, you'll find throughout the Bhagavatam that the great teachers of bhakti advocate caution and try to live in such a way you don't get any more sap on you, first of all. And second, you have to continually take the cleansing process, keep taking the solvent so that you can become purified. Shamalangi, and then Manjulakanta.
I was remembering, like, during exams we used to learn like mathematical formulas and if by mistake, we forget a little bit here and there, or the parentheses where to put it, everything went wrong, the answer. So my father, he used to teach me that, don't like by heart, you have to understand the whole concept, like, then you can even derive it if you forget. So I was just thinking that, rather than by-hearting, we should know the whole subject also in our devotional life, not only the formula. If we know the subject, then we are able to remember the correct formula always. So that's the thing.
That's a nice point, because there's a way in which, if you have the context and you understand clearly why you're doing something, then you'll have the impetus to do it. We brought that up the other day about how by practicing the formula, applying the formula, there are concomitants, the concomitants of knowledge and detachment that come. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayat Yashuvairagyam Jnanam Cha Yadahaitukam. By practicing the direct process of devotional service, you take this formula, you take the solvent, and some of the byproducts that you get in the process are knowledge and detachment. And then we also quoted the verse, Tashcharadana Munayo Jnana Vairagya Muktaya Pashyantya Mani Chatmanam Bhaktya Shuta Grihitaya. I try it one more time. Tashcharadana Munayo Jnana Vairagya Yuktaya Pashyantya Mani Chatmanam Bhaktya Shuta Grihitaya. In this verse, Sutta Goswami says that one has to be fortified with knowledge and detachment, and one also has to be thoughtful in the process. Means you have to have some perspective why you're doing the process, so forth. Therefore, Thakur Haridas, in his instructions to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to take instructions from all his disciples. Is actually coming from him, but he'd have them speak it. And Thakur Haridas, when talking to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu about this universal process of chanting, said that it's important in the process to go on hearing sambandha gyan, or knowledge about your relationship with the Supreme. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also gave an analogy which is very potent in this regard when he was teaching Sanatana Goswami about the glories and the process of devotional service. He said, once there was a very poor man who had no money and no prospect in life, and he was suffering greatly. And one day he met a great astrologer named Sarvagya, who could tell his future. He was such a good astrologer. He could look at a person's chart, study his physiognomy, and tell him about his future and his past, and give him good advice. So he looked at this man's chart very carefully, studied the man's countenance, and then he told him, I have some good news. You're not poor. And Kaviraj Goswami says, how long does it take for a destitute, poor person, when he or she receives the news that you're not poor, you're actually rich, to change his or her attitude? How long approximately? Immediate? It's instantaneous when you get that news. You verify it, and then you say, Yahoo! I'm no longer poor. So, in a similar way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that the Shastras that bring the information of our relationship with Krishna tell us that actually we're not poor, we're not subject to birth, death, old age, and disease. And in the analogy, this great astrologer told the poor man that your father was the richest person in the land. You happen to be estranged from him, but he recently passed away, and he left you his entire inheritance, and it's actually buried in your backyard. And I can tell you how to dig for it so that you can get it right away. He told him exactly how to dig. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that Krishna is very kind, and therefore he sends the information about our relationship with him, and also gives, through the great sages and through the scriptures, the formula for how to dig for it, how to get the treasure. And to have the impetus to go on taking the solvent, the formula, one has to hear regularly, because there's an enervating effect in the material world that one can become easily distracted from the spiritual process. Sometimes people take up even the strictest path of devotional service, and later on they give it up. It's altogether possible that somebody can be enthusiastically and well on the path and well situated, and then somehow or other completely give the path up. Sometimes people give up their faith altogether, at least for some time. One thing I've noticed from sticking around long enough is that I see people come and go, and that's also nice. Or say they go and come back. And then you can also see that there's a cycle sometimes that people have to go through when they give up their process of devotional service and then they come back. But in any case, constantly taking instruction about one's relationship with Krishna while one's chanting tends to fortify the entire process, so that one can, with full concentration, chant the Mahamantra. Because, as explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, if one chants in the right attitude, then one can very quickly make advancement in devotional service. But if you don't have the right attitude or the right perspective or the right frame of reference when chanting, you might make offenses while you chant, and therefore it will take you a long time, maybe even lifetimes, it says, to come to the perfection. So your point is very well taken. There were a couple more reflections. Yeah.
Maharaj, Hare Krishna Maharaj, you were talking about sticking, and I was thinking how if we were a Paramahamsa, then like the swans, we would be able to drink the milk from a mixture of milk and water. But the way we are right now, I was just thinking that everything seems to stick. Sticking is the nature of because of the way we are made, the way we are attracted to the material nature. Anything I hear, anything I should not be hearing, anything I should not be seeing, sticks to you. And then the next day, morning, or when you get up, or when you go to bed, you still keep it, you hear it resonate in your mind. But the same thing when we listen to kirtan or bhajan, and we focus, the way we naturally focus on the bad stuff. If we could just remember to focus on the good stuff, that resonates too. And I was just thinking how, it's a good thing and a bad thing that everything sticks. If only we can be careful.
Thanks for bringing that up. The good side is that actually we're sentient beings. That means we have senses and we have feelings. We have deep feelings. Have your feelings ever been hurt? Anybody? We're deeply feeling personalities, but those feelings are actually meant for Krishna. And Queen Kunti's prayer is that please let those same feelings, those same emotions that I more or less waste in the material world, and they're dissipated here, let them be concentrated and let me develop that, transfer those feelings to Krishna. And then there is a safe side to the matter. It's not that it's always that the mind becomes stuck or the thoughts of sense gratification continually stick. In fact, the very encouraging descriptions in the Shastra are that there's a point at which, in the process, the mind develops some kind of way of being sticky towards Krishna Katha. And this is mentioned in the third canto of the Bhagavatam by Lord Kapiladev when he's talking to his mother about various modes of nature in which devotees practice devotional service. One can be affected by the mode of ignorance, the mode of passion, or the mode of goodness when one practices devotional service. And there are various ways in which that's reflected in one's mode of practicing. But the description of one who's coming to the transcendental platform of devotional service is Madguna Shuti Matrena. He's described how as soon as you hear something it sticks about Krishna, it sticks in your mind. In fact, he says the mind runs after it and wants to chase it. And these stages of devotional service, which are very positive, come naturally to somebody who invests in the process of carefully taking the formula throughout one's life. Prabhupada compares this spontaneous platform of devotional service. Here he gives an analogy that's very simple and easy to understand. He said, just like when you learn to type, you first need a typing book, and you have to follow very carefully and watch where your fingers go. But later, when you learn how, you naturally are able to hit all the keys without even thinking about it. And there's a natural way in which our emotions go towards Krishna when we come to the platform beyond anartha nivritti and nishta, where we become firmly situated in devotional service, not disturbed. Although the material desires are there, we're not disturbed by them because they float by and we don't identify with them. But beyond that, there are stages called ruchi in which one actually has a positive attraction towards hearing about Krishna. And onwards towards there, even asakti, when one becomes deeply attached to the holy name. And there's different levels of being attached to the holy name. According to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in the Madhurya Kadambini, he says some who have become attached to the holy name, they love to hear the holy name, but only when it's presented very nicely, musically. And then when one becomes super attached, he doesn't even care how it's presented, as long as it's pure devotees presenting it. The music doesn't matter, the melodious nature doesn't matter. It simply wants to hear the name, becomes attracted. Thank you, Manjula Kanta. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Speaking about oscillating back and forth in this material world, I was thinking how we are constantly in that tug of war between mind and heart, which is always a vicious circle for thoughts and emotions. And for me, being a very ordinary human being, my emotions are always preceded by my thoughts, and I cannot separate them. But since emotions are uncontestable, thoughts are always open to dispute. And if we have the right formula, the right belief system, right thoughts, that will lead to right emotions and our practice and the human being we are. That's how I think. Because I'm always, if I see Arjuna, Arjuna was more emotionally driven when he was not ready to fight than practical. For me, as well, I'm emotionally driven than I say I'm logic oriented. But my emotions are more how I feed my thoughts. So if my thoughts, my belief system change, I think I can act the right way. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Very nice points. All the way to the back. Yes, you have the microphone. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. A couple of points strike me today, of course, many, but the main two things that I heard you saying, I was driving and I heard in the car, that if there are situations or challenges, don't try to fix it because we can't. Krishna is the one who can, who's a powerful friend of yours, can do that. So that kind of creates a strong, very strong faith in Krishna. And thereby another point that you mentioned today, that every soul gets an opportunity to come here to go back to Godhead. So that gives the other devotees or advanced senior devotees a great responsibility to help out other souls for them to also advance, and also us like laymen, I would say, we have to treat other souls equally and help them to go back to
Yeah,
Godhead.
thanks for bringing up these 2 points. Just about anxiety and reversals of fortune and difficulties in this world. And what is the resort? I just heard the other day when we were, I can't even remember where we were, but I remember what somebody said. Talking about a difficult situation, and one of the devotees was advising somebody that the best thing that you can do is pray. Nirkula, do you remember who that was? We were having a conversation somewhere, and it'll come back to me, but that part stuck with me, and I thought about it deeply. This is the benefit of association with devotees. It's devotee, or maybe it was something I read. You pray, yeah. She said it, I read it somewhere also. But this point is very applicable to our process and to what you said, and that we may find ourselves perplexed. I will find myself perplexed. I am perplexed, practically constantly by the way in which I'm mixed up in the material world. But there's a solution. One of the solutions is prayer, which is highly recommended. In fact, it's mentioned that Akrura, just by praying, attained perfection in devotional service, and that the Hare Krishna mantra is a prayer. If we chant prayerfully and we situate ourselves before we begin to chant as helpless beings and call out, please help me, Krishna. Please engage me in your service. Please transfer my thought process from the material world to the spiritual world. Then Krishna will certainly help. He's there within the heart and he'll help us. And the second excellent point you made was...
That was like every soul has come back to the world for opportunity.
You said we have a responsibility. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu deputized everybody. He said, Jaridako Tahikaha Krishnupadesh Amaragnai Guru Hanataridesh. He said, wherever you go, whomever you meet, and he was talking to everybody. He made no distinction. He said that everybody's deputized. There, gotcha, you're all in. So everybody's deputized to take up the spreading Krishna consciousness movement. And he said, wherever you go, whomever you meet, teach them about Krishna. And this, Prabhupada said, is a part of the practice of devotional service. First of all, Lord Chaitanya said it. So if you, in a heartfelt way, try to follow that, even if you're communicating in a very simple way. You may not be erudite, you may not have studied vastly, doesn't matter. If you have a taste for Krishna consciousness and you know the basic formula, you can pass it along, right? So he said, everybody do this. And in a letter that Srila Prabhupada wrote to Dayananda and Nandarani in 1968, he said that you go, wherever you go, and whomever you meet, try to teach them about Krishna and teach them this philosophy. He said, by doing that, you'll get superior strength and knowledge in Krishna consciousness. You'll get superior strength and knowledge in Krishna consciousness. And what a field to work from, because the whole material world is rife with people who are in need of the medicine, in need of the formula. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Ene chiya shauri maya nashi bharulagi. Harinam mahamantra lao tumi magi. That Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was saying, I brought the medicine through which people can be lifted out of Maya. They can be cured from the disease. It's a formula. He said, therefore, you should distribute that. And those who see the medicine company should beg for it and take that medicine. Bali Mardan Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. So I'm coming back to the universal solvent water. How the water is, not only in the material side, in the spiritual world, even if you see, when Krishna killed Arishtasur, the gopis and Radharani say, hey, you have to take bath in the spiritual water, like Ganges, then only you are purified. There is no need for you to chant, but you have to take bath. Even Ambrish has to spare for drinking a sip of water when Durbasa is cursing Ambrish for not following the etiquette of the gas treatment. And similarly, any sages, if you see, when they are cursing a particular person, then bringing the water and chanting that mantra, and they say, I give you the curse, that means they are affirming in the same way, and how the water being so connected to us, because I was reading in one of the scientists, he was saying, whether the air is superior or the water is superior for the tongue to speak the word. And he was justifying his statement. I am not sure whether it's right or wrong, but he was saying the water itself is producing the saliva for the tongue to chant, and chant or speak or talk about it. And it is same example when my grandfather, he left his body 10, 15 years ago, and he was attached to, he was there and, very old days, And we have a Hindu traditions that bringing tulsi leaf or Ganga water at the time of death when they say that things are serious or critical. So he was not even ordering any word, and so my uncle put pouring Ganga water in his mouth, and then because he had Satyabhama, he said, and he left his body because his mother's name is Satyabhama, and he was very much attached to that. But whatever it is, but the word comes, the whole process, it is a tool. Actually, water is the basic tool here. Mother Ganga to start from anyone. That's my realization. So as you mentioned, it is actually spiritual solvent for all the devotees to be connected with Krishna.
That was an encyclopedic presentation of water. Thank you. Yes, Kameshwari.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, you were mentioning about the prayer just now, that we have to pray when we need help, and Lord will reciprocate, and He will actually take care of the anarthas. And that actually reminded me of the Bhaktivinoda Thakur's prayer, Shri Navadipa Bhavataranga. He is praying to Lord Nrsimhadev to remove all the 6 anarthas from his heart headed by the lust. And then he meditates very beautiful vision there is that how Lord will reciprocate. He will put his lotus feet on his head, and he will say he will stay here in Navadvipa without any difficulties, and Mama Bhakta Kripavale Vigna Jabe Dura Shuddha Chitte Bhajo Radha Krishna Rasapura. So with the prayer, actually Lord will reciprocate, and actually with the mercy of my devotees, all the obstacles will go away, and then you will be able to chant and worship Radha and Krishna Shuddha Chitta with the clarified and purified mind. So I just remembered that if you pray, how Lord actually reciprocates, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written it so beautifully. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thing is, if one is sincere, then Krishna notices right away. And doesn't matter what situation one is in now, if one sincerely prays to Krishna, I need help, then Krishna will help. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dana yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. Practically, it's simultaneous when one is sincerely praying that Krishna gives intelligence how the devotee can come to him. It gives that intelligence. So sincere prayer it's actually the natural propensity of a living entity. I simply become waylaid from sincere prayer by my false ego, where I think that I'm okay. But if I can understand that I'm not okay, and that I actually need help. When I was on book distribution with Madhukanta Prabhu downtown Santa Cruz one day, and every time we'd sell a book, we'd tell people, and still do, that do you believe in the power of prayer? And God bless America, most people say yes. It's an amazing country. I mean, Prabhupada came here first because people are so open-hearted and like simple and kind of pious. I know that sounds funny, but it's really true. But in any case, if somebody says, I don't believe in the power of prayer, we say, perfect, we'll give you a mantra. Whatever it is, we say, it's written on this card, follow this card, I'll say it, you can repeat. It's a little hard to pronounce, but once you know how to do it, you can do it everywhere you go. It's a prayer meant to wake up love for God in your heart. Are you ready? And then they go, yeah, I'm ready. So there was this young woman, she had 2 young kids, and they all chanted the mantra. And then they're very inquisitive and sort of pure-hearted, innocent people, and they said, so what does it mean? And Madhukanta, God bless Madhukanta, he used to be our pujari. I remember when he left. We were over on Sharnak Avenue, and I was sitting there in the middle of a Bhagavad Gita class, And he said, I got to go. My mother just died. And I said, what are you talking about? Where are you going? He said, I'm going to Mexico. He said, when are you coming back? She said, right away. And he never came back. That's how the material world is. He couldn't come back because of his immigration status and so forth. He never made it back. These things can happen. So Madhukanta, he was one of the bright lights of ISV, one of the founding members of ISV. He's such a pure-hearted soul, such a hard worker, expert pujari, everything he did. Just having him around was so nice. So I wanted to hear what he was going to say, because you can really learn just from hearing from a devotee their realization when they're teaching others about Krishna consciousness. So he told them, here's this mantra, chant it. They chanted it. They said, what does it mean? And I overheard that, and I said, I want to hear what Madhukanta says it means. So I came over as close as I could to listen, and he said, I need help. So the next day when I was chanting, it's like, that's a nice way to think of it. I need help. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You notice if people are begging, really need help, then you'll tend to want to help them. If you see they're scamming some way, they got something else going on there, it's like, that's all right. But when Krishna actually sees that I'm serious, I really do realize I need help, and I'm calling out, and that's the meaning of that. N-H-A-S Maya Nashi Bharalagi. Harina Mahamantra Lao Tumi Magi. He says beg for it. Is that right? He's saying beg. Beg for the holy name, and if you really beg hard, and anybody can do that, you don't even need an education. You don't have to be highly educated to beg, right? You could make a living at it. You just go out and beg. Say, give me some stuff, I need it. And it's like, all right, here you go. So it works like that with Krishna also. If you really just feel helpless, and say, I don't have anything, and I just need your help, please help me, then Krishna gives everything. The intelligence, he gives the association, he puts you in the right situation. So this chanting is a universal solvent, and it's the solution to all our problems. There are a lot of different convoluted ways to try to solve our problems in life, but the only way that really works, ultimately, is to chant God's names. And this Hare Krishna Mahamantra has come to us in such a beautiful way through this disciplic session parampara, that if we take it, we become linked with all the great souls like Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. Sometimes when chanting, I like to think about him and think, what would it be like to walk up to the place where he's chanting and then go into his hut where he's chanting his names all day long and just prostrate myself at his lotus feet and beg him, please, give me one drop of taste for chanting the holy name. If you meditate on coming to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and here we are sitting at the feet of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We're fully aligned. We just have to take the name and beg deeply for mercy from Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Avantika, harmonium. Kishori, kartals. For the Hare Krishna singers. For the Hare Krishna dancer in the back. Go Premanande. Go Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Thai Go Hari Bo. Srila Prabhupada brought the Krishna consciousness movement to the West. Of course, he didn't insist on rules and regulations in the beginning because everyone would flee. If he did, because he came at a time, well, of course, no one's in the mood for being regulated in the world. And especially at the time when he came in the 1960s, when there was an idea that by being free, free everything. I won't go through the whole list, but everything was to be free. And he gave a process by which people could gradually come to the perfectional stage of life. And let's analyze what he asked those who are very serious in the process to do, as then we can understand a little more about the formula. So, initiation is a way in which one makes a vow. When one makes a vow, then wonderful things begin to happen in one's life. Making a statement that I'm going to do something and you decide internally that I will do it no matter what happens is a very powerful thing to do. You can start on a small scale and you can work your way up. In fact, in Prabhupada's the way in which Prabhupada grew his movement by building a big team of such determined people and introducing people to the process, allowing them to develop well-reasoned faith, and then offering them the opportunity to devote themselves, especially at a beginning stage through initiation, to make a vow and say, I'm going to do this because I've understood it and I believe it and I'm going to practice, I'm going to keep the formula. So what was that commitment that people made? The positive part, of course, there's some prohibitive things that people would say, which is very much akin to the Ashtanga process, that you have to be able to act properly in this world, otherwise you'll just be distracted all the time. If you do all kinds of sinful things in this world, you just get off the ground. Intoxication, all kinds of distractions through gambling, killing animals, things like that, illicit sex, the great distractions. So every yoga process has this beginning, yam, niyam. There's ways in which you have to regulate your just to be balanced, to be able to look inwardly. But now let's look at the main thing that he asked serious people to do. And that is that he asked them to make a vow to every day chant at least 16 rounds of japa. What does that mean? And there's kirtan, and kirtan is something that practically everybody loves, and you can come into a festive atmosphere and sit for kirtan. Even if you're not serious or following regulative principles, you can get a lot out of kirtan. And japa is a little different, though. It requires that you're a little bit settled in your life. It requires that you're a little bit serious, that you're willing to find that space where you're praying to Krishna and saying, please let me find my sincerity in my heart and call out to you. And it's a kind of meditation. But interestingly, in this Sankirtan movement, which is so much pervaded by reading books and chanting publicly and congregationally, which are all important processes, he insisted on this one thing for our personal practice, and that is every day taking time to chant japa. Japa it means a private prayer meditation session. And to continue it every day, you have to be serious, because you can't continue what you don't get a taste from. You'll quit. It's just human nature. So it's incumbent upon those who want to make advancement in the process that Prabhupada passed down to find out the ways and means to catch that, get that taste. As we sang in the early part of this program, when Bhaktivinoda Upadesh, Ek bar naam rashe matore, he said, one time try to get this taste. It's intoxicating. There's nothing like it anywhere. If someone can perceive even a trace of it while chanting Hare Krishna in a prayerful way by concentrating on the Mahamantra, the formula, the spiritual formula, then one will be so driven to get more of it that one is practically prepared to move forward on the path of devotional service. And as I mentioned earlier, Gyan and Vairagya, knowledge, detachment, all these things just come flowing into one's mental system, into one's being by this process, direct process of chanting Hare Krishna. So interestingly, on this one thing, chant at least 16 rounds a day. He says it right in this very important book that I mentioned, that at least we should chant 16 rounds a day and then try to spread the Krishna consciousness movement around the world, as I mentioned before. So it's a recommended process. Anyone can try it. Anyone can come to the mark of chanting at least 16 rounds a day. And it just takes practice like anything else. But is it worthwhile? Well, it's recommended. Who's it recommended by? Our founder Acharya. Is it recommended in the scriptures? In so many places that you won't be able to even count them all. So is it a good idea? Yes or yes? Yeah, it's a good idea. So here's one way that we can practice while we're here. Let's chant a little japa together. And on your hands, you'll notice that you have some spaces. And if you might have ever wondered, why Krishna gave you all these spaces on your hand. Why aren't they just like straight smooth without all these lines? I mean, what's the lines for and stuff? Well, they're for chanting japa on your hands. And there's another way, you can also chant on beads. This is a very sensual thing, holding on to these globs of wood made out of tulsi plant, sacred wood. Early in the morning is the best time. The sun is not quite come up yet. And you can sit down, and then all of a sudden you realize, I'm a free soul. I could do this if I want, and no one's because I'm protected by the process. I'm protected by the formula. I've been given permission by higher authorities to sit here and do this. And I don't even care if somebody comes and looks at me askance. I know this is the right thing to do, so I'm just going to do it. And when you get in that space, you can feel that this is the all-important moment of my life, to sit here and actually commune with the Supreme. And so on the fingers you can count, starting with the middle of your ring finger, and you put your thumb there, like this, and you say 1. Move it down to the bottom of your ring finger. Krishna 3. This is not for donations, by the way. Krishna 4. Move it to the middle of your little finger. Krishna 5. Top of your little finger. Krishna 6.
Krishna 8. Krishna 9. Krishna
10. Multiples of 10 are easy to count, and you can keep the multiples of 10. So now we're going to chant 10 mantras together in japa. So japa means there's 3 P's that you have to follow, and remind yourself of these 3 P's every day. The first one is posture. If you sit up straight when you're sitting across from your spouse, you'll notice she will suddenly think, wow, he's really listening. All you have to do is sit up straight suddenly and start looking right in their eyes, and they'll think, wow, they really appreciate me. And this posture is so powerful. You'll also start thinking, okay, your whole body will wake up, and the body, your mind, something serious now. If you're like this, everyone's going, yeah, this ain't so serious. But if you go like this, everyone in your body gets up. We're doing something serious now. Hey, this is serious. You're sitting up straight. So posture. And then the next thing is pronunciation. If you enunciate when you speak the mantra, you say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Try to get all the syllables. How many syllables are there? 32. How many words are there? It's a perfectly balanced mantra. So 16 words, 32 syllables. Try to get them all and listen to them. That's your job. That's all you have to do is pay attention. That's all you have to do for japa. Pay attention. What do you have to do? Pay attention. Yeah. So you have to, when you pronounce the mantra and listen to the mantra, then you're also going to get a higher level of attention. You want to attention rate. So posture, pronunciation, moves your attention up a little higher. It's mechanical, but it works. And the third is non-mechanical. It's prayer. And you have to pray from your heart. Realize that every breath that you take is a gift. It's not guaranteed. We've been given the opportunity to commune directly with the Supreme by repeating the name. And pray deeply that you can have the intelligence to take advantage of it. So let's do at least 10 mantras together. Start with your thumb on your middle finger. First, we'll say, this is recommended also, please repeat. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita, Gadadhara, Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All together. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is the spiritual formula. solution to all problems of life, including the biggest conundrum of all, which is death. So take advantage of this, and every day meditate on the holy names, and your life will become happy and sublime. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Natari Armarman, Natari Armarman, Natari Armarman, hey, Natari Armarman, Natari Armarman, Natari Armarman, Natari Armarman.